Let's roll through a few scenarios. We're not going to do role plays, but 10 minutes or so and we'll bounce. So you've got a contract that ends in January of 2025 and they're at 18 cents. So what's your problem? To me, I think the best problem to lead with is it's expiring and then you loop in the price. But it was kind of tricky because some people would go with price. I personally would have gone with expiration. So I think there's like a line there. What month are we in? October, November, December. So you got about 3 months. My rule of thumb is if it's 3 months or less, it's always term. And then if I can use term, I'll loop in the price. So the way that I would pitch this one pretty easily, actually, hey, your program is expiring in a few months. You're already paying a lot. And when it expires, it will go up even more. So I can use that, but I can't use it the same way when I lead with price. I might be able to say, you're paying a lot, your energy charge is really high, that's why your bill is expensive. But then if I were to loop in expiration, it just feels like it's too much. So what I like to do is choose the one and then loop in the other. 12 cents, and it expires in 2026. The way that you deal with a program like this is our term is double. Did I spell that wrong?
There's an I in there.
That's weird. Oh, I meant to do the, how's that?
Better.
Yeah, okay, great.
I didn't even pick up on that.
No, see, that's why I'm constantly testing you, and you failed. And whoever it is that picked, and he passed.
When you said it, I saw the eye as soon as you said the bio.
The less leverage you have, the less specific you need to be. The more leverage you have, the more specific you can be. Okay, so here's how this works. When I see a 12 cents, we're not 0.8 cents cheaper, we are lower. Simple. Your prices are good, but we're lower. The problem is your plan expires in a year and a half, and we'll redo it early, and it'll be good for twice as long. The customer won't see the problem that you've identified because you're too specific. So here's an example of something that won't work. You're at 12 cents. That's bad. We're going to lower it to 11. What are we at? 11.6? 11.1. We're going to lower it to 11.1. A penny difference times 1,000 kilowatts is $10 a month. It's garbage. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that penny. Now, if you, let's say, run into a scenario where they're using 4,000 kilowatts a month, well, that 1 penny times 4,000 is $40. 10 months, that's $400, right? Call it 500 just for the full year. Well, 500 makes sense, right? But 1 penny doesn't make sense. So when you're in a scenario where you have a rate that's similar, you want to use words like less or lower. So remember to highlight,
That's great.
the more leverage you have, the more specific you can get. The less leverage you have, the less specific you need to be. So the more general, the more vague. Okay, the more leverage you have, the more examples you can give short term. The less leverage you have, the more examples you need to give long term. So for example, if I'm in a scenario where it's a 4-cent difference times 1,000 kilowatts, I can show you value on one bill, $40 a month, right? But what if it's 1 penny times 1,000 kilowatts? That's $10. Okay, not as much value. So in this scenario, more leverage, more specific, short-term examples, right? In this scenario, less leverage. So if I'm going to be specific or give some kind of example, I won't do it month by month. I'll do it in 6-month blocks or in 1-year blocks or the life of the contract. So I'll use their contract against them, and I'll say, look, our prices are a little lower. It's not a lot lower, but it's a little bit lower, and your plan expires in a year. Ours is good for 3 times longer. So in the next 3 years, you'll overpay whatever it is. Let's just do the math in 12 months. So if it's 1 penny, 1,000 kilowatts, $10, that's $120 times 3, $360. Again, you're building value. Now, we've done this meeting before, but I think it's important to just be able to differentiate when you need to be specific and when not. When you are in a scenario where it's only about a penny difference, don't give 1 month examples. You need to give either 1 year examples or you need to give examples across the life of the contract, okay? So again, if I'm building value, this is the life of the contract right here, plus we do the 150, so now we're at what, $400, $510. So we have $500 in value and it's just a penny difference. That's it. We're not also factoring in that if this contract expires after the 1 year, whatever it would have been for the final 2 years, obviously is probably more than the $500 in initial value that we've built. So how do you do this in real time? Well, stop giving short-term discount examples when you've got no leverage. What you're trying to do is you're trying to make the same point you would make at 5 cents with a half a penny. And because you know it's bullshit, the way you say it sounds awful, and because you don't believe it yourself, the customer won't buy into it either. But you're saying it because you don't know what else to say. And when you're trying to show value and say, oh my gosh, you're being overcharged, right? It's a half a penny more. That's crazy. No wonder your bill is so high. Almost no one could get away with saying that and actually sound believable because it's probably not accurate, right? So how do you say it in a way where it's, number one, accurate, and number two, will you believe it yourself? Well, you got to do the math sometimes. Because if you've got a customer that's engaged, they're still there, they're still listening, well, you have that deal potentially. It's only because of something you do or don't do that either gets you the deal or costs you the deal. If they're still there standing and listening, they may be interested, they may want to do it. So you may have time to do this, you may have time to do the math. So in some cases, you just don't think to do it over the longer term. You just do it on a month, 2 months, 3 months. Nobody gives a fuck about $10, $20, right? Nobody cares. They need to see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. There's a lot of different ways you guys can close these deals. You've got term, you've got price, and then you also have company. You have a company that does not offer X, Y, and Z, and Reliant does offer all of these additional benefits. And we're not going to get into the differences between all of them, but don't forget, you work for and represent a very large company. And Reliant is owned by an even larger company with a heavy, heavy, heavy presence in Texas. There's a lot of things that people get when they sign up for Reliant. So even if a customer is overpaying for 9 months by 1 penny to ensure that they don't overpay for the remainder of the contract, their company versus our company, plus they get the app and all the other benefits that come with being with Reliant, well, that might be worth it to that customer. But if you don't believe that it's worth it, then they won't believe that it is worth it, right? So again, we just cover term, and you already know how to pitch price. I choose to use things like lower, higher, shorter, longer when I have less leverage. And when I have more leverage, I'm specific. Look, dude, you're at 18 cents. That's crazy. We're at 11. That's a 7-cent difference. 7 cents times 1,000 kilowatts is $70 a month. So I just did everything I just explained to you. More leverage, more specifics, short-term value, and I was able to do it in 15 seconds. I'm still talking with the same conviction. The only difference is I'm being specific versus not being specific.